Hello friends, this is the Cryptonian taking a look at BTC Bitcoin because right now BTC is the barometer of the market. Although the altcoins do outperform Bitcoin from time to time, Bitcoin, if it does go down, can pull the market down. So we need to be aware of that. Currently Bitcoin is 38,741. And this is getting interesting. Now, on the weekly, it's important to note just a few things. And I've pretty much said this before. Even on the weekly, we're on a downtrend here. Okay, so we are in a short-term downtrend in a long-term uptrend. And so you see this red bear cloud that we're in, and we're currently under the moving average and in the bear cloud on the weekly. Now, the last 2 weeks have been bullish. They're green, which is good. This is positive news. But I want to draw your attention to the last consolidation point back here. We did have a few weeks after the big drop. We did have a few weeks of, actually 3 weeks of positive price action. And then we were rejected down again. Okay, and then we stayed within this pretty much a range here from this top down to this bottom. You can see that all of this is a range, and then after that we broke out. So it's important to understand that just because we've had a couple of weeks of price moving higher does not mean that we will not move lower. On the macro, this downtrend has not changed at all. We are still in a short-term downtrend. The price is currently testing the upper level, or soon to test the upper level of this descending channel. The price is in a descending channel. You can see that with the blue lines here. The volume is positive, but just barely on the weekly. Barely positive. If we go below the zero line, we can go negative, and that of course would be expected if we drop towards lower prices. Now, if we do go lower, it's imperative, it's important that we hang on to the 2930K area. If we go below that, then things could get ugly. We have, let's see, 28,800 is basically the bottom for this previous last summer's consolidation zone, the Wyckoff consolidation zone. So should we go lower, we really need to stay above that. We really need to stay above 2930K. If we start heading down towards the same price area as this 28K 29K low, the market's going to get nervous and you're going to see some selling. Now, taking a look at the weekly RSI, it's at 40, which is not bad. That is good, actually. Shows that we have room to move up, but we are weak. It does show weakness, and that's understandable because we've had all this, right? So that in and of itself, doesn't mean that we're not going higher. It just means that we've been suppressed in strength. And on the weekly, we do have the stochastics waiting to move higher, right? Now here, what's interesting is on the week here, we had this big, in the last summer, we had a big volume candle. And when we compare that to here, unfortunately, it's suppressed buying, it's suppressed volume. And it's to the point where it's about, if you take the line and pull it over, it's about half of what we've seen in this area last summer. So this is something to be aware of. This is something that could be a problem. It means that large institutions are not in yet. Now we do have some whales. The metrics do show that there are some whales that are purchasing and have been purchasing. Could there be institutional purchasing in this area? Yeah, there could be, sure. But all I'm saying is it's not to the point where what we've seen in the past. And so that's, at this point a little disappointing. Now that being said, we need to move to the daily. Now looking here on the daily, we see that currently we are under this white line, 30-day moving average. And this has been a problem for Bitcoin ever since it put in the high, right? So we put in a high of, what was it, 68, 69K. And then shortly after, we crossed over the 30-day moving average line right here. And that was about 62K, right around there. Once we lost that support of the 30-day moving average, we were rejected, rejected again, rejected again, and we didn't even get to that point and we were rejected. So it's a sign of weakness. We're experiencing weakness relative to previous price action, and I think everybody knows that, right? It's not hard to see. And so right now what we have done is we've moved slowly from the bottom of the channel, and now we will be testing the 30-day moving average once again at the top of this resistance line for the descending channel at about 40,400, actually 40,500. So on the daily we are seeing a bull cloud develop, this green bull cloud. But we need to be careful, we need to be conservative, because we've seen this before, okay? And we were rejected at the 30. So just because we're seeing a green bull cloud doesn't mean that we're out of the woods, doesn't mean that we're reversing the trend. In my opinion, we need to get above the 30-day moving average, and we need to hold that before we can even start thinking about some kind of a trend reversal. And that's, like I said, going to be about 40,500, 41,000, and even above the last point of breakdown, the last high, or lower high, 43,900. So I'd say 44,000 is still that level that we need to get above to consider some type of a reversal. Now on the daily, we do see here, well, first of all, let me move this over so you can see. I apologize for the way the chart is squished together. There we go. So taking a look here, we can see that the volume oscillator is in the positive. That's a good sign. And we can see here on the daily now we've seen purchasing greater than what we've seen in the past since the all-time high. So that is also another positive. That's also another positive. So at very best, I think right now we're in a transition, or a possible transition. We just need to be patient and see how this plays out. Remember, the chart's going to tell us when it wants to change direction. So currently we're still in this descending channel. Nothing's changed. And we need to break out of this channel. And remember, I told you the 38,600, no, excuse me, the 38,500 or 38,600 level, this white line was, the area that if we break that, we need to start paying attention. Well, we're at that now. We're testing that. Now, we've been rejected a little bit from it, but I've said that if we push above that in a firm way, we could see a test of the 30-day moving average. We could see, a return to test this previous breakdown point, which basically is at the top of these lines here, the target, between 41 and 43K up here. Now, we haven't seen a lot of, we've seen lower volume short grinding up, and that's kind of a concern. That means that, the buyers slightly outweigh the sellers, but the sellers and buyers are closely matched, right? So the price is just grinding up slowly. We have a slow grind, and that means that there's only a little bit more buying power than there is selling power in the market right now. We did see a bullish sign here with the Fisher bull flag, and that's when we changed momentum pushing up higher, but we still haven't changed the trend. Stochastics, now look at this. This is interesting. On the daily, stochastics is extended. It's elevated. And stochastics is now at the limit, upper limit. And this is normally in the past where we saw a reversal here, right? And when we saw a reversal in the stochastics, we saw a reversal in the price. See, that's what causes that. So the question is, how much farther are we going to go in this climb, slow grind upward before we have a pull to the downside? Now this is what I was saying that we needed to be patient for. What I'm looking for is on the daily, I'm looking for a pullback and looking for a higher low. And at that point, I would buy that, okay? Because that means we're gaining strength, and that means we could be testing the upper level of this resistance downward ascending channel and the 30-day moving average, and that's necessary before we have a reversal. Now on the daily, 40 is the RSI. We do have room to run up, and we are seeing it move higher, which is good. That's positive. But I just think that we're probably going to have some kind of a pullback, even if it's small, before we actually break out of this channel and above the 30-day moving average. So I'm looking for a pullback, possibly, maybe, I don't know, on Friday, or possibly after the weekend. Okay, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some kind of a pullback. Now, looking at the 4-hour, this is kind of what we see on the 4-hour, and you can see we're just creeping up. Okay, most of the volume, looking here in the past, most of the volume was down here in the 33 area. Okay, and then we have declining volume, which is good in a way, and then we had a little increase here. Okay, so which is good, because if we have volume start to increase and come in, we could be pushing higher instead of going lower and test that upper resistance line. The volume is positive, of course. We have been going higher, but also on the 4-hour, we're seeing the stochastics maxed out. It's at the upper end. So even on the 4-hour, the daily is showing that we could have a possible pullback. We could have a possible impulse to the downside. The RSI is 60, which is good. It's showing strength on the 4-hour, but we just don't have that carrying over to the daily yet. If we continue in strength on the 4-hour, that eventually will move over and spill over onto the daily chart. So that being said, I'm still expecting some kind of a pullback. Now, we could experience that soon, having a pullback soon, or we could actually break out and test this upper resistance line and then get rejected and come back down like we've seen in the past. Now on the 4-hour, we are slightly holding the 30-day moving average, which is good. But the real test is the 100 daily moving average on the daily. We need to regain that. We need to break out of the channel, move higher, hold the 30, and then move up and gain the 100 daily moving average once again. And then we can talk about a reversal. So I'm waiting, friends. I'm waiting for some type of a rejection here for a higher low. I would then buy that. But if we have a rejection, we could actually be making a double bottom at 33, 34. That's something that you need to be aware of. If we do have a breakout above, I expected a breakout back here or over here. The breakout's just not happening. It's more of a grinding, and we're actually showing a little bit of rejection here on this resistance line, previous resistance, 38,600, 38,700 area. So I'm not inclined to be buying here. If we do have a breakout, I will wait to see how the price acts in this upper area here. But what I would want to buy is I would want to buy a breakdown and some type of support down here. If we break down, create support, I would buy that. As long as that is higher than the previous low on the 4 hour. So that's the way I'm looking at things on the chart now, friends. Just waiting for further developments this week. We could have a breakout this week or later. Again, do not confuse a temporary short-term breakout with a long-term trend reversal. Two different things. Now, I did get a request to take a look at COTI, so I'll take a look at COTI at this time. COTI is looking stronger than Bitcoin at this time. Of course, you know, it's expected because COTI is a altcoin, and altcoins do well even when Bitcoin is not doing much. As long as Bitcoin is stable or slightly positive, altcoins do well. When we take a look at the weekly, let's go back to the weekly. So here on the weekly for COTI, we do see that COTI is currently making a higher low on the weekly. So this is very positive. You can see down here the low previous was around 10 cents, 11 cents. And right now this previous low was 22 cents. So we are in a definite higher low position, which is good. And we even did break out a little bit above this white downward descending resistance line here, this white line. But we could not hold it. We were rejected from that. And so now we broke out and rejected by the 30-day moving average. Now we're coming down. I would like to see this hold above 30 cents, 30.2 cents. Actually, wait, here at, no, I'm sorry, 28 cents. I'd like it to hold about above 28, 27 cents and then push higher. But Bitcoin's going to have to stay stable or increase in price to do that. Now, if Bitcoin pulls back, you're going to see the rest of the market pull back, including COTI. COTI is slightly positive on the weekly volume oscillator, and the RSI on the weekly is about 45, which is good. It's a little bit weak, but it's expected. That's expected because of the market. We are seeing a negative week for COTI right now. But not a big deal because the general position is much higher than the previous low down here. So we are bullish on the weekly. Stochastic's ready to move up. RSI ready to move up. It just depends on Bitcoin. One thing that does kind of concern me a little bit are the volumes. We're seeing very low volumes here, even lower than previous areas here. So that is a slight concern, but that's just because we're not seeing major volume on Bitcoin right now. Taking a look at the daily. Okay, taking a look at the daily on COTI. Not bad. Not bad. You can see that we did have a test of this resistance line twice, and then we finally broke out, but then we lost it because Bitcoin went down, and then now we're back above it again. So this is positive. This is showing that COTI does have buyers interested in purchasing at these levels, and so it's likely that COTI will most likely hold this general area unless Bitcoin just takes a dump, right? If Bitcoin goes back down to 30, 31, 32, even 33, 34, you're going to see COTI pulling back, going back down below that resistance line. What I'd like to see COTI do is come down, hold this area, like I said, about 27, 28, and then bounce higher, move higher. But again, that depends on Bitcoin and you know, whether it's going to stay stable or not. Stochastic and RSI in good positions on the daily as well. One more thing that we'll do is we'll check the 4 hour. One moment. So COTI's looking good, looking better than Bitcoin on the weekly and daily. Now on the 4-hour, we see that COTI did have a rally here, which is good. However, we're seeing in this area more selling in this area. See this? However, we are above the 30-day moving average on the 4-hour. Whether we're going to hold that or not, it does not look like we're going to hold that. Looks like we're going to go into a short-term 4-hour chart pullback, bear cloud. And so, like I said before, I'm going to be looking for a bounce here at the 27.28 cents to hold these levels. If that doesn't hold, then we could be coming back down to 22 to 24 cents, maybe in 25 cents. Altcoins do correct harder than Bitcoin. When Bitcoin corrects and goes down, altcoins correct even harder. That's something to keep in mind. So keep your eye on Bitcoin. On the 4-hour, we are already negative on volumes. So this is showing that selling is taking place. And that's, we can see that in the candlesticks up here. We do have some bear alerts on the 4-hour. Some divergence, Fisher divergence, and these are bear alerts, which means that we could see selling pressure come in. The RSI currently is at 49, neutral. It can go either way. Stochastics is at the bottom. This is what I like about stochastics. Stochastics is at the bottom, so if there is a correction, there may not be a large correction, right? Just have to wait and see. Stochastics is ready to move higher and have an impulse to the upside once this pullback is finished, and that is dependent on Bitcoin as well. So there you have it, friends. COTI's looking good. The large picture is bullish. However, remember, COTI is dependent on Bitcoin and ADA. If Bitcoin does well, COTI will do well. Even if Bitcoin just stays stable, right? Doesn't go up, doesn't go down, COTI will do well. However, we will see most likely on the 4-hour chart in the shorter time periods some type of sell down, some type of pullback, and a possible test of 27.28 cents. There you have it, friends. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Please click like, and remember, the first rule of investing and trading: do not lose money. Be safe.